everyone, I'm going to show you a video tutorial of how to use my new add-on Magic Classroom Admin. So the first thing is if I run for the first time on this Google Sheet, I should say in order to get the full features of the add-on, you do need to be a super admin, but some features will work as a normal teacher profile. So sheet one is like by default there. If it's detected, then it will ask you if you want to keep it or not. Some people need it, some people don't. Well, I don't want to keep it, so I'm going to get rid of sheet one. The first page, the first tab is classroom list. Okay, so this is here's the template here, and the first button is to do a classroom list. All right, you'll notice the colors of the tabs relate to the different controls that are available here in the options. So this one's red and it's enclosed here. Now, what that does is if we press that button, it will run. It will go to the domain and it will find all of the Google Classrooms that are available in the domain. This is a very, very basic domain. There's not much there. So there's only 3 classrooms in total. If we click this button and run again, it will include any archive classrooms. I'm not sure if there are any, but we'll see if there are any extra. So there were no other archive, but you can choose whether you include archive or not. So some people will need that, some won't. You can press this button as many times as you want. Okay, so you can just refresh. So if someone comes along and you need, for example, the Google Classroom code, which is towards the end, the enrollment code, but it's a newly made course, you'll need to refresh in order to see that. But that's basically what that one does. This is quite an important sheet because it will feed in some of the others as well, so you can use that. So let's make some more classrooms. So we've got this create classroom option. So you can use this to create any classroom of your choice. If I call this test 1 and I drag it down. So we've got 5 classrooms, and if I make myself the owner, well, what this needs to be is an email address. So not so magic. And you don't have to have other teachers, but you can. And you don't have to have pupils, but you can. If you want other teachers and pupils, you fill in the email address, and you can have more than one as long as you separate by a comma. However, you cannot put a space. Don't leave a space. Make it just a comma, and then separate each email address in. So let's just run this with no teachers, no pupils. I'll show you what it looks like. So if we do create classrooms, it will load up 10, it's going to perform the action. And what you should see happen is ID here will get filled in after it creates each classroom. You can't quite see it, but you saw the first one. So it shouldn't take too long. The more teachers and pupils you have to add, the longer it will take. But it should be fairly straightforward. I'm just going to close it off. Oh no, it has done it. It created 5 classrooms. I was just going to double check it wasn't crashed. So it's made 5 classrooms. If I now go to Google Classroom and refresh, here they all are. And you can see them there. Now I have to accept them in order for them to sort of be activated. I will accept them because otherwise they won't appear. Oh yeah, when you accept each one, it will take you to it. So accepting quite a lot in one go is quite tricky. So let's accept those. Close that. I won't accept the others actually. Let's go to back to here. Now we go back to our classroom list. So we refresh the classroom list this time. We should now have some extra classrooms. It shouldn't take very long because, like I said, there are very few. And there we go. We've got these extra classrooms that have all been made. All right. So the class owner's there. It's got the names of them there. But you see, I haven't accepted those other ones. That's why they haven't appeared yet. But that's how you can sort of make classrooms and have that all sort of appear. So that's create classrooms. If I go back to create classrooms, if I wanted, actually, I've made a mistake, I'm going to delete one of them, etc. You can just clear the ID and run it again, and it will create another classroom. All right, so you can do that. It doesn't allow you to add pupils or teachers here once you've created them. This is just for creation from the start. However, one of the other features allows you to do this, so this is included in the add-on. Now, staff list here is example, like you could add all of the names and email addresses of all the staff in your domain, and that will help you immensely. But it is just a list which is then used into individual staff here. So that basically, whoever's in that list, you can select them and it gets their email address here. Once it's got their email address here, it will list all the classrooms it that person owns from Classroom list. All right. You don't have to. I mean, this is a drop down. You can actually type in an email address in here, and it will list it for you. But this is just a quick way to make it easier for you to use. Okay, so you can just select a teacher, see all their classes, and you're away. So the point of this section, individual staff, and it's this whole green section here, is you can add staff to Classroom. So if you want to add another teacher, so if we do, I think it's hstate not so magic apps.com, I can add a teacher to that Classroom. Now I don't have to add to all of them, I can just do one or the other. So if I press add staff to Classrooms, it'll go through this list. Anywhere there's a teacher email filled in, it'll try and add it to that Classroom. It says it was done it, but if there are errors, they will be logged. Now it's done it there, it's added that person to test 5, so it's written added. If there was a problem, it would have said error. So if actually, I'll show you, if I do info not so magic apps.com, this should error because the owner is that email address. If I add it now, it'll ignore that other one because it's done, and you see it's thrown an exception because the teacher is already there. He is the owner, so it doesn't work. Now I can remove. So if I want to remove somebody, so if I get rid of that one, if I want to remove this teacher, I can also remove the staff from the Classroom, and it will kick them out, and it should say removed here or error, but it did do it. If I was to chuck that out and run it again, guess what? There'll be an error because the teacher's already been removed. So you see it's frozen error, the teacher's not there. All right, so that teacher has been added and then removed quite successfully. Now you can also change the owner. So if I want this person to be the owner, all right, so I've got this make owner, and if I press make that staff the owner, it's going to transfer the ownership from this one to this one unless there's an error. All right, so it's given us the error, which is they have to be on the Classroom first. So if we add staff to Classroom first, shouldn't have took them off. Once they're on and it says added, then I'm going to do delete that and do make staff owner, and hopefully it's going to transfer it over. Done, and that email address will get an email saying they've been made the owner, etc., and they can accept it and become the owner. Also, you can archive. So if you want to archive, you put a Y in. All right, so I want to get rid of that classroom. I'm going to archive that classroom, and that classroom should be archived. And it says archived, so that classroom will now disappear. So this was test 5. So if I go to my classroom list, and if I refresh my classroom, let's find where test 5 is. It's right at the top. That's handy. Let's refresh. Test 5 should disappear because I've not include archive. So we'll find test 5. It's gone. But if I include archive, oops, I didn't mean to do it. If I include archive and run it again, this time it should. You do get a percentage bar, but when there's such a small thing, there we go, and you see it's archived. So that's all working beautifully. So the only other one you've got as well is pupils. If you realize you wanted to add some pupils, you can add pupils. So you can add people to the classroom. Let me have a think. If I take this email address and we look at test 1 this time, and if we do test 1, we put an email address in there, and then this add pupils to that classroom, it should add that pupil to that classroom, and add a Y in to say it's added that pupil to that classroom. So that is, so if we go to test 1, find test 1 down there, go to people, and we should now see that there's a classmate in there. You see there's that person has been put in there. Okay, so that's how you use all of that. That is that whole section there. Then you've also got this next section is about doing sort of some kind of work scrutiny. Okay, so where you have a list of pupils that you want to look at all of their classrooms, look at their work, etc. Now this is a template sheet, okay, and you can adjust this. You can change the email address of who it is you want to be able to view all of the pupils' work, that kind of thing. So not so magic apps.com. And then that's all you need to do on this template, because then what you have is you have a list of pupils. So if we list the pupils here, so if I do pupil state, and if we do info email address, I'm not sure if this will work because they might not have any, but I'll show you what the concept is. So this is the email address we want to add. So what we do is we generate work scrutiny pupil sheets, and basically everyone on this list will be generated an extra worksheet with their name on it. Okay, so that there's the first one done. It puts their name in, puts their email, and we've got the teacher one to add. Okay, and then what you've got is you can add work scrutiny account to the classroom. So we go add it to the classroom, and basically the issue we have is this account doesn't have any email addresses. So actually I'm going to switch it around, and this time we're going to do it the other way around. Do hstate here. I'm just going to delete that. Actually, I'll show you another quick way to delete it while I'm here. Delete work scrutiny worksheets. We'll just get rid of any of the worksheets other than the main one. So that one's just gone. So it's done and sorted. Now I'm just going to change this one to be info at the beginning, and then this should work this time. So if we do go back to here, we generate the worksheet. It'll generate one worksheet, and it will have a classroom because we added it to a classroom. There we go. There's that classroom there. But now we've got that classroom, you can see how the rest works. So we want to add this teacher account to all of the classrooms listed. There's only one in this case, but that's fine. So we add it to the classrooms. It will go through and add that account to all of them. Now it failed to do it because it's already there. So that's great. It's already there. But it would have said added if we had used a different account like that. So it would have added it to the address. And then if we want, when we're done with work scrutiny, we can also remove the account from them. So we just do remove work scrutiny account, and it would work actually because it is on no because they're of course we'll get there in the end, but it would say deleted like that. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to show you is this pupil classwork code here. We've got a link to the Google Classroom, but we don't have a link to the pupil work. Let me show you what happens here. So this links us directly to the Google Classroom, which is great, but we'd have to then go people, find the pupil, click on the pupil. Now, wouldn't it be better if it took us straight to this bit, which I think it would. So you see this bit after the SP slash, this code here. If we just take this code and copy it, so I'm copying that. If I go back to here, and under pupil classwork code, I put a paste in. This link here now will contain that bit of information. So now when I click this link, rather than taking me to the classroom, it takes me directly to the pupil. Okay, so there's a little bit of manualness there. It's not coded. You've got to put that bit in. But if you put that bit in, all of these will automatically finish, and you'll be basically, when you want to do your work screening, you come along and you just click these links, and they take you to that pupil's work in that classroom. So it works really well. Obviously, when you're done, you remove the work scrutiny account from there, which obviously won't work for this one. And then when you're finally finished, you delete the work scrutiny pupil worksheets, and it will just remove everything other than the master sheets. One word of warning though, if you add your own worksheets, that button will delete all your other worksheets other than these main templates. So you either would need to manually just delete the sheets, or make sure that you don't add extra sheets to here. Okay. That, I think, is everything that it currently does. If you've got any great ideas of what else it could do to make it better, please do let me know. But I hope that's useful and is a very useful tool for lots of reasons.